I'm Dr. B. This is Matt, and the guy that's listed as Daddy is not Daddy. He is Josh. But we go for random things here.
It's Daddy.
Anyway, on tonight's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the Reds. Pete Rose getting released to where he can now be voted into the Hall of Fame, as well as Shoeless Joe Jackson, and a few others. Next on Idiocracy Talk Radio.
Can't hear anything there, big guy.
Playing.
Share our views.
Remixed.
He fucked up.
It's
He
idiocracy,
fucked
but you
up.
gon' see the
He
value
fucked
and
up.
respect though when you talk with me. So come on, baby, walk with me. It ain't a topic that the crew can't touch. Share our views and our vibe. What we hide? It ain't much. This ain't bluffs, this the crew, yeah, we got it. Share our thoughts and our views, you can't stop it. Said this ain't bluffs, it's the crew, yeah, we got it. Idiocracy, tell us what's the topic. Yeah.
All right, my friends, it's another day, another dollar after taxes. We get what, 5 cents back?
Sounds about right.
I mean, realistically, about that. Yeah.
So let's start with an easy one. So during the, I guess it would be the series between the Reds and the White Sox, the Major League Baseball decides to take a vote and decides to take not only Pete Rose off of the ban list, but also Shoeless Joe Jackson.
And another player from that Black Sox team as well.
Right. I'm a little torn on. I don't know a whole lot about Shoeless Joe Jackson and stuff like that, but what I have read, his situation compared to Pete Rose, apples to oranges. So you got Pete Rose that was banned for betting on the Reds when he did not affect the game at all. Then you have Shoeless Joe Jackson and the World Series 1919 team that was banned for throwing the World Series. They actually manipulated the game. They threw the World Series.
Well, they're saying Pete Rose betted on baseball. They never specifically said the Reds, and he always denied he betted on the Reds.
No, he came out and said, when I was manager, I would put bets on the Reds to win. So that came out later, but he did come out and say that. Now to Joe, your point. Is it apples to oranges? I don't think it's apples to oranges. I think it's kind of more apples to apples. And the reason why I say that is, yes, he's betting on his team to win, right? What about the games that he's not betting on? Does he know something ahead? As a manager, you know about injuries. You know if your pitcher doesn't have all this stuff. So there's them games that he didn't bet on because he knows that they were going to lose.
But I understand your point. However, he did not injure people to lose the game or win the game. He did not introduce players with illegal drugs or anything like that. He did not tell players, don't catch this ball or don't hit. He did not manipulate the game.
How do we know that? If he knows a pitcher has an injury and he allows that pitcher to, hey, you know what? I know you don't got all your stuff. I should technically sit you, but I'm not.
And here's the thing with that. You can say what if and possibly this for everything. Everything there is in the world. But what we do know for a fact that he did admit to betting on the Reds to win. He bet on other baseball teams. Again, situation where he did not have a major impact. Shoeless Joe Jackson and his teammates threw a World Series. Okay.
And that's pretty big, World Series, compared to
Right.
betting on a regular game.
Yeah,
But I get what you're saying.
I mean, if you want to talk betting, think about how many people were betting on that team during that year.
I mean, you manipulated a whole team this time,
Right.
not just
Yeah.
one player or one coach.
And,
You manipulated a whole World Series.
yeah, and not one game,
World
but a
Series?
series.
I don't know if there was multiple games back in the day or just one.
Yeah, I think it was like a 3-game or 5-game series. It definitely wasn't 7.
Yeah, it wasn't 7,
Uh,
but you still had to play multiple to win.
Yeah, I thought it was very peculiar when they announced it. Like, that the Reds were gonna celebrate Pete Rose on May 14th. So it also happened to coincide with us playing Chicago White Sox.
Yeah,
the
so
two
was my
teams
ask
that
you.
played the 2 teams that played in the 1919 World Series. So I think it probably would have been a little bit more special if they waited one extra day to announce it on the day that the Reds were honoring Pete Rose instead of the day before. That's just my opinion.
No, and I agree with you. But they also, let's be real, there are still a lot of people out there that don't agree that like him or Shoeless Joe Jackson should be eligible to even be considered.
Well, they broke the number 1 rule. I mean, I'm kind of along with it, but again, he was the hit king. What he did on the field before he became a manager is 2 different worlds.
And that's
Correct.
the thing. It's like, again, apples to oranges. Like, he did something during his playing time that should be recognized in the Hall of Fame. That he, versus like, you have some individuals that have juiced up, when it was illegal, and I say when it was illegal because let's be honest, the way the world is, eventually they will say that certain steroids and stuff like that are legal and all this stuff because it's going to eventually happen. I'm calling it now. I'm saying it now. Okay, on May 18, 2025, so someone can quote me that it might be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, but someday they're going to be like, hey, you know what? Steroids are legal now in baseball, in football, and stuff like that. And then they're going to try to look back and go, hey, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, all these people that's juiced up to enhance their ability to get a advantage over those that weren't. Maybe we should put them in the Hall of Fame. No, because during that time, it was not legal, and you were taking an unfair advantage. Cheaters should not be allowed. Pete Rose hit all of his ball. He did everything he could in a legal way. Do I think he should be in the Hall of Fame and they put on there, oh, he was also an awesome manager or coach or whatever? No, leave it alone. Fucking don't put him in there as a player.
But was he a player coach? Did he play as he was a coach?
No, he wasn't Babe Ruth.
No, he never did that. I think he wanted to, but I think MLB came out and said you can't.
Right.
But to Joe's point, so far, nobody that has been connected to steroids has made it in the Hall of Fame yet. No player has yet to make it.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. Well, the problem is all the players that were in there, their 10 years have come and gone now that they're eligible on the ballot. I think Barry Bonds is the only one that has a couple years left, maybe, but they're not getting in. Can they make it in later on? Absolutely. But to your point, yes, do they have an advantage to hit that ball a little bit harder? Absolutely. Do these pitchers have an advantage of throwing a little bit harder? Absolutely. But let's get down to the science of it's fucking hard to hit a ball when it's coming at you 95 to 100 miles an hour. You got to be good enough, no matter how strong you are. You still have to hit that ball, right?
I'm not denying that you can hit the ball, but that advantage of strength, maybe that ball doesn't go out of the field. It lands in field. So now instead of it being a home run and possibly multiple runs or even a single run, you get a single or double.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I still think they deserve their due, because if you go back to baseball was dead. Baseball was dying after the 94 strike. Ratings were down, and it was a struggle for them. Out comes Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. And all of a sudden, baseball got popular again. Everybody was excited about the home run chases. MLB capitalized on that. They made a shit ton of money off of it. And you can't tell me they did not know these fucking players were taking shit. You cannot tell me that. They absolutely fucking knew what was going on.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, look at all the videos and evidence that came out about the NFL and the concussions. They tried to hide that, you know. So here's what maybe I throw out, and tell me what your thoughts are. You let those individuals that help the sport grow and exceed it in the sport, but you put them in a special wing of the Hall of Fame.
I mean, there's a lot of Hall of Famers out there that said they don't want to be associated with that situation because they played the game fair. So why are they getting a wing over there? Because they cheated to get there?
Well, you make it the cheater's wing.
I mean, and granted, you go back.
You stop in my ball shrank wing.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this right now. If Babe Ruth played baseball in today's game, he is not Babe Ruth.
You're right.
He is a terrible fucking player.
He's a heavyset guy that doesn't hit the ball.
Exactly.
100%.
Guarantee it.
But again, that's to my point. If you travel back in time and you put a pitcher that's on steroids, does Babe Ruth hit as many balls? Not necessarily, because if he's juiced up and he's working out and he's able to throw, I mean, I don't know what the average was during Babe Ruth's time, but if he starts throwing 98 to 100 miles per hour balls, guess what? The dude's fucking untouchable.
The average thrown ball back when he was playing was anywhere from 75 to 85 miles an hour.
Right. What's the average
nowadays it's 95 to 100 is the average velocity of most pitches.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, you're the baseball player, okay? I will never say that I'm a baseball player. I fucking sucked at baseball. You're the one that got down on your... No, I'm just kidding.
Are you Babe Ruth Jr.?
Me? No, fuck. But, Josh, you played baseball for many, many years. 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tell me if that's a big difference or not.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge difference. And it also is the way pitchers are pitching the ball nowadays, too. Mm-hmm. They've got pitches that they didn't have back when Babe Ruth was playing. These fastballs are cutting like no other. They're moving. And that's all with the spin. They've learned to spin the ball.
They also have, think about it. Look at a physical fitness workout back in the 1910s to a physical fitness workout now.
Yeah.
You know, science has progressed us further. Do what?
Sounds like my workout.
I'm not talking about Babe Ruth, your mouth. He does the shake weight.
He does the pterodactyl.
That's why he's got the strong neck. He's like, but all of those things. Here's the thing: advancements in science, in terms of natural nutrition, workouts, all those things. Those didn't help one or two players. That helped the the game of baseball grow. The pitches, the types of pitches. It's not like only one player had that special pitch, and he's going to get a shake weight right now.
That was quick.
Shake weight. You know, they don't. It's not like, oh, this one player has that pitch and no one else has it. No, everyone has a pitch. Everybody learns the screwball. Everybody learns, all these different pitches. When you add an unfair advantage, just because you did it well, don't mean you did it right.
But to my point, a little bit is even though, yes, steroids, they were still able to hit the ball a little bit further. Again, you still have to fucking hit that ball. It's still hard in today's game. Look at players nowadays. They're striking out more than ever. These pitchers are a lot better than they were even 10 years ago.
Right.
Because of the technology in their pitches. It's still very hard to hit a ball.
But can you say with 100%? Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Like I said, pitchers aren't even lasting that long either. They're only going 5 innings in this day and age now, too.
Well, I think that's managers. I think that's all in the managers, though.
Well,
I don't think it's the pitcher's choice.
But also, looking at what you said, you don't know. It helped hit a little harder. But can you say with 100% accuracy that those steroids didn't help them move faster, which means they were allowed to react to the ball quicker? So then
they could react a little bit quicker, but again, you still have to make contact.
Well, you have to make contact. But if I can move quicker, even if my eye. There are plenty of baseball players even now that don't take steroids that can see the ball coming. They're like, oh, I know when it's coming. I know what it is. And they swing and it still hits the glove and they're like, well, fuck.
All right, so I get that. So let me ask you this question. Baseball, MLB has been experimenting with how they make the ball. Probably about 5 to 6 years ago, you've seen a lot more home runs because of the ball. MLB manipulated the ball so there would be more home runs. Everybody started complaining. Now they manipulate it again, so there's less home runs in the game. So what's to say that MLB is allowed to manipulate the game instead of making the ball how you've always made it, and instead of changing stuff?
Well, MLB did manipulate the game a little bit.
Exactly.
They manipulate the game in where the fielders can't go past a certain position on the base now. You can't shift over no more. So because it took hitters out of the game.
That should have been out of the game. They should have never been allowed to shift how they were. You should not have 3 infielders on one side of the bags. You look at players like Joey Votto. Jay Bruce basically retired because he got played the shift. If the shift was banned, how many more hits would Jay Bruce have? How many more hits would Joey Votto have on the Reds? Right? The shift, now that they finally ended it, it's going to make baseball a lot better. But you allowed it to happen. You twinkled and it hurt the game of baseball.
I was kind of a fan of it. If you're a baseball player, you're a true professional. You play the game to play the game. You're getting paid millions of dollars. Hit that ball the opposite way. Learn how to play the game. I get what you're saying.
Only one player has really learned how to do that. And actually, I'm sorry, there's 2 players in all of MLB history. That was Pete Rose and that was Ichiro. No, Ichiro. Tony Gwynn didn't have to hit through the shift a lot. But no, I agree with you. Tony Gwynn was a great hitter too. But if you put so the next question is, who is really the hit king? If you add the stats to where Ichiro played in Japan for the first part of his career and then came in the MLB, he would be the all-time hit leader.
Yeah, but if
So-
I also added the amount of hits that one kid that used to go downtown and hit against the other team, he might be the hit king.
What are you talking about?
I'm throwing out that, like, just because they did it in Japan, it doesn't count towards the American League.
I know that. I'm just saying. Ichiro has the most hits ever in a professional league. Japan, they have their own professional league.
Yeah.
MLB is
I
always.
saw the movie with Mark Selleck.
What?
I don't know.
He got traded over to the Japanese team.
Oh, you're talking about freaking Mr. Baseball.
Mhm.
Tom
Burt
Selleck.
Reynolds. Burt Reynolds.
No, Tom Selleck, bro. Tom
Tom
Selleck.
Mark Selleck.
Oh, wow.
The other great mustache.
Magnum PI went to Japan and played baseball.
Oh, shit.
So,
All right, move along. Let's go to another topic.
moving
This
along.
topic's dead.
Well, talking about dead and getting dazed and confused.
Like you.
Huh?
Huh?
Let's talk about former President Joe Biden.
Dazed.
You're gonna have
and
You gotta get me
confused.
caught up on this because I don't know what happened.
Josh, go ahead. Get him caught up.
So basically, over the last 4 years when Joe Biden was running office, everybody on the right said, "Hey, is he up to the mental state?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, he's the sharpest ever." Blah 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 blah. So there's an interview with Ben, or I can't remember his first name. His last name is Hearn, a prosecutor, Hearn, to see if he
Robert
was sound of mind. Robert Hearn, see if he was sound of mind, and if he could stand trial for crimes that his family committed. And audio was just released a couple of days ago, and you could tell Biden just wasn't mentally there. He could remember when his son died. He could remember when Trump took office. He's kept saying, or when he left office. Nothing was coherent in his interview.
Yeah.
So-
the interview was recorded October of 2023.
So now it's like, so who was actually running the country at that time? Everybody knew Joe Biden wasn't physically fit, mentally fit to run the country. So who was actually running the country?
Well, we know it wasn't Harris.
I honestly think it was Barack Obama. I think he was the Manchurian candidate, as you would call him, actually running the show for his last 4 years. Look, Joe's on the line with the FBI right now.
Hey, I'm gonna need you guys to do this and make sure my company makes some money now. Yeah, who is this? This is Brock, man. This is Brock. I need you to.
You sure maybe it wasn't Michelle, his husband?
Hey, only Joan Rivers knows that.
Huh?
She's the one who broke the story, and then she died shortly after. She exposed it. She P. Diddy'd it.
Old P Diddy.
But what? So if this comes out that he knows he was not mentally fit to run the country, do you guys feel that everybody he just pardoned at the end of his presidency should be technically pardoned then? If it wasn't him, if he wasn't him signing the pardons.
Well, I thought that was already in question anyways, because didn't they use a auto-generated signer or something like that? Like a
Computer. Yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't his signature.
See, that in itself right there should void it, because you should not be allowed to use a stamp, because let's face it, you don't know who actually stamped it.
No.
Someone just took his finger and hit the button.
Oh, it didn't even put the
So-
button. They literally were just like, stamping away. So, I mean, that's the thing. Is like, but to be honest with you, here's where, like, I think, and I know it's not going to happen, but when you look at our political process right now, you know, and I don't have the answer because on one hand, like, you know, you got, you know, do I think younger politicians should be allowed in there? Maybe, but then I think of AOC, and I'm just like, fuck, could you get any stupider? I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, fuck. Like,
hey, she's bright as a can of green beans.
She's hot as hell. Don't get me wrong. I mean, she's cute. I wouldn't throw her out of bed, but at the same time, I wouldn't have her signing my checks. Jesus Christ. I wouldn't let her drive my car.
I mean, I let her sign my checks. I mean, you know how much money she's worth now?
I'm talking about my checks. I'm not talking about her signing her own checks. If she wants to sign checks to me, I'm good with it.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm talking about my own money. Like, the only reason she got money is because someone gave her money, not because she made decisions.
She made some decisions.
Yeah,
not awful.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but here's the thing: these politicians, they do make great decisions on where they can manipulate the stock market a little bit and make a shit ton of money.
Those aren't great decisions. That's called cheating the system.
Didn't a couple people get arrested for that in the same time, like Martha Stewart? Just insider trading.
Yeah, but see, that's just proof again that if you got money, it really doesn't hurt you. Because again, if any of us did that, we go to jail, we get out, we can never live ever again. Hell, Martha Stewart got out and she got thug life. She got street cred.
Yeah. Her and Snoop Dogg.
Her and Snoop Dogg, I mean, shit, she got street cred. I mean, shit. She's like, I can bake a pie and roll up. Shit.
Snoop Dogg teach her how to roll a blunt while cooking brownies.
Yep.
She's like,
you put a little weed in here. Put a little weed in here.
A little something. Something.
Salt back.
I'm gonna add a little spice to the brownies. So, what, you know, continuing our talk about presidents and politicians and stuff like that. So, Democrats are like going absolutely crazy right now. So, trying to find the country here. Do you remember who was the country that just?
Qatar.
So Qatar gifted President Trump a plane worth estimated $400 million as a great gesture that he would actually use, not for personal use. Okay, this would be turned into the new Air Force One. Okay, so it ain't like something where he's gonna, after his 4 years, he's gonna take it with him. It would stay with all future presidents as long as it's still viable. And it's this big luxury plane, so it makes it nicer and stuff like that. Now, a couple things with that. Now, if Democrats were throwing a fit saying that it's a security risk or a potential security risk, I might entertain that, okay? And the reason I say that is because you got this country gifting to the President of the United States the most secure plane in the world, or one of the most secure planes in the world. You would have to make sure that there was nothing embedded on that plane, and I'm not talking about anything to damage the president, but any kind of software,
malware,
anything that could pull information, any kind of things that could overhear conversations, all of those things, you would have to make sure every inch of that plane is clean. Okay?
Well, that's exactly what they were doing. As soon as they got the plane, it got to the U.S., they started stripping the plane to look for anything.
Well, and that's just it. The military is going to do that. Like,
yep.
and that's where people don't realize. Here's the thing: when it comes to that, every country listens to every country. You know, like just because you don't know who's actually, scratching your back and who's got a knife and ready to stab you in the back, you just never know. That's the unfortunate thing. But with this, they're not complaining about the security risk. They're complaining because, it's a $400 million plane. Again, it's not going to Trump himself. It's going.
I don't even know. Is Trump even going to use? I don't think Trump can use it in his term because they still have to go through and fix it up.
And that's the other part. By the time they actually finish it, revamp it, everything else, he might get to use it maybe his last year of office. Maybe.
Well, I think it'll be done before that, and let's get to the reason why he accepted that plane. Apparently, Boeing was building another Air Force One. It was supposed to be ready this year or next year, but it kept getting it. Now it's delayed another 3 or 4 years. So instead of the taxpayers continuing to pay Boeing for this plane that has been delayed after delay after delay, Trump is like, hey, they got this plane, it's ready to go. This also was already in the works under Joe Biden,
Right.
which many people don't know. Trump just had the benefit of accepting it when it was done and ready. So Boeing is at fault for not having their shit together and having this done in time.
This almost falls under the cutting the waste. Why? It's not like Boeing just all of a sudden got into making planes.
Exactly.
And I have to look up how old.
But here's one point I do like to make. They were all worried about, what are we going to owe Qatar in the future? Blah blah blah. Let us not forget that Joe Biden came out and said during the 2020 cycle that his son never took any money from foreign governments. Everybody just realized, it just came out. Yes, he in fact did take money from Ukraine. He did in fact take money from China.
Well, that's why he got pardoned.
So Biden was
pardoned.
No, I know, but Biden was a risk for being bought and paid for by the Chinese government, by the Ukrainian government.
And just to kind of give some perspective here, the current Air Force One, okay, and keep in mind there are two Air Force Ones. There's the Air Force One and there's the backup. The plane does not become Air Force One unless the president's using it, okay? But the two 747s that are currently in the Air Force fleet that are used for Air Force One are over 35 years old.
Yeah.
That's old.
And our presidents are probably the most important people in this country, and we're letting them fly on 35-year-old planes. So, but to get to your point, besides that, it was just amazing to hear everything that he did in the Middle East was a benefit to the United States. Trying to make peace with these Middle Eastern countries is what no other president has tried to do. And Trump actually struck deals with Saudi Arabia, $1.2 trillion. Qatar, $1.3 trillion. Why have we never tried to do this before? Lifted sanctions on Syria. So all the stuff that he's doing, it's going to benefit us in the long run because now we can finally become more energy independent again and get cheaper shit.
Well, they're even working on where we'll be able to make locally, so in country, produce the metals and the magnets and stuff that are needed to create, the electric vehicles and everything. So we won't have to rely on, like you said, like other countries like China and stuff like that. which in turn will save money for Americans.
And he did agree on a trade deal with China, which again, and all the Democrats over the arms said, "Oh no, he's succeeding! Fuck, we're screwed."
Right, because he cut what was it, like 80% of the tariffs that China had on us. He's cut.
Yep.
With his deals. I mean, that's, I don't know about you, but somebody tells me I'm going to save 80% on something. Fuck, sign me up. Like,
except for Walmart. Walmart said, "Oh, we're gonna still have to increase prices." So, sorry guys.
Well, you know why they're increasing prices? Because they got rid of all the self checkouts because they weren't working because everybody was stealing. And so now
they got to pay employees again.
Now they. Oh, no. They're not going to pay employees. They just put all the regular cash registers back in, and then they're empty again. You only got 5 people working, but 38 registers again. They ain't paying people. Come on.
They got to hire two or three more people and pay their salaries. So.
Yeah, so that's going to decrease their $1 billion. So just to give an example, so I just looked up, so talking about Air Force One and stuff like that. So Delta Airlines says one of the oldest planes in their fleet that still flies in North America. And that's a 757 that was delivered in 1989, so 36 years. But most of their fleet has been updated. Okay, so passenger planes, like, we don't even fly on the old shitty ones anymore. Like, so just pointing out. Like,
very interesting.
Huh?
It's very interesting.
Right. We don't fly on the shitty ones, but, let's let the President of the United States. I mean, and let's be real. I mean, Biden didn't really fly anywhere. They just put a green screen. And then they told him that he was flying everywhere, so he'd look at the screen. He'd be like, "Man, I'm in Hawaii."
I mean, he was on the beach in Delaware for most of his presidency. I'm gonna take another weekend vacation.
Right.
Gonna take another vacation. Oh, Trump's playing golf! Oh my god.
That's if he's coherent.
Yeah, exactly. They fed him ice cream. That's all we know. They kept feeding him ice cream. Here you go.
So, I gotta find the video, but I want to get your guys' thoughts. So, speaking of Democrats and crazy things that they do, so a Democrat by the name of, what is her fucking name? Where's she? Summer Lee. Okay, from, looks like Pennsylvania. So, Representative Summer Lee, Democrat, has reintroduced, apparently this ain't going away, like, God help me, it just blows my fucking mind that people still want this, reparations to go to, now, here's what I love. Here's one thing I love. Listen to the wording, okay? If you remember when they first talked about reparations, it was for who?
Descendants of slaves.
Descendants of slaves. Well, now we've expanded it, okay? Because we don't want to leave anybody out, all right? So they reintroduced the resolution to offer reparations to descendants of enslaved Africans and people of African descent. So you don't even have to benefit. It doesn't even matter if anyone in your family was a fucking slave. If you're able to call yourself an African American, you're getting some money.
I'm getting paid.
$300,000 is what she's.
$300,000. Okay.
Hey, all I gotta say is that would make the economy boom for about a year, and then the money would be gone.
Listen, I don't give a shit if it was gonna boom or not. Here's my thing with it. Okay.
Oh no, I was just saying they would have spent the money within probably 2 months.
Well, anybody would, but I mean, most Americans nowadays would. But at the same time, what drives me crazy is like it's this constant, I deserve. You didn't go through anything.
No, I mean, I'm sorry to say, if anybody deserves any kind of reparations or any kind of special treatment, it's the Native Americans that lived here prior to where we literally stole their land. We killed them. We raped and murdered a shit ton of Native Americans. Yes, they do get quite a bit. They don't have to pay taxes anymore, but we did steal all their land. I'm just saying.
And here's my thing with that. Like, I don't discount that you're 100% right that our country had a bad history with that. But I will say, name one country that didn't steal its land from someone else.
Oh, I know. There's and name one country that didn't have slaves.
I mean, hell,
Every country
in Africa right now, there are still slaves,
and they get sold.
and I'm not talking about slaves being owned by white people in Africa. I'm talking about slaves that are owned by other black people in Africa.
Well, I mean that's where the African American slaves came from. Was these tribes would sell their people to these other people in these countries, so they sold you out, basically.
Well, perfect example, and this is where like Democrats and stuff, like people keep trying to change history. Is let's see. So there was a movie that came out a few years ago. It had the girl from
I know what you're talking about.
She was in.
They treated her. They made her be like a hero, and the fact that she was actually one of the leaders to sell her people off.
Yeah, what was that movie?
I can't remember.
I'm gonna look because I know the girl if I can find her face. But so in the movie, like they portrayed her as this hero and everything else, and the tribe that the show talks about, like you said, Josh, it portrayed them as heroes. But what's funny is that tribe was one of the first one, or they were one of the biggest ones in Africa to rape and pillage other villages, enslave other villages, or
The Woman King.
That's it, the Woman King.
Viola Davis.
That's it. And what's funny is like that tribe was well known for conquering other tribes, selling them off to other places in exchange for more advanced weapons like firearms and stuff like that, so they could go and attack other tribes. But people don't want to hear about that.
No, never do.
They never want to hear the truth.
Right.
Nope.
They want to fabricate everything.
Right. They want to change everything up.
That's the reason why they want the free money now, because they think they suffered all those years.
Exactly.
They didn't suffer. Your ancestors did.
And that was probably 3 generations prior.
Well,
So,
I mean, slaves were I mean, now don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away from the fact that even though slavery was ended after the Civil War, that for the next, what would have been like,
I would say 20, 30 years probably.
more than that, because
Well, a lot of these slaves didn't want to leave the land either. Yes, they started getting paid, but they didn't want to leave the land.
well, but they did. I mean, no education, nothing, and they're like, okay, you're free, see ya.
Yeah.
What the fuck do I do now? So in 1865 is when the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. So you're talking, Martin Luther King was in 1960s.
Yep.
So 100 years, okay?
It was the civil rights.
So 100 years of no slavery, but there were some racial tensions, there were some problems, there was still segregation, there was all these things that were still happening that weren't right, okay? But you can't go back and say, well, I want money because my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was a slave, and that affected my feelings. Well, if that's the case, then you know what? Well, I'm Italian, and Xerxes and a bunch of other people from the Muslim nations and stuff like that attacked and enslaved a lot of the Mediterranean, to include parts of Italy and Rome and stuff like that. I want some fucking money.
Well, that was over there and not here.
I don't care. That hurts my feelings. Because that happened 1,000 years ago, but you know what? That affected me today.
You sound woke.
Woke and go broke, baby. Woke and go broke.
It's fucking stupid. Like,
all right. Let's move on to something that Matt wants to talk about. Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals. So I also want to make another point on this too, with the Bengals in the city. So Matt, lead us off on what's going on between the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson.
You were in and out there, so I'm sorry, buddy. I was losing.
I said you lead us on what's been going on with Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals.
Well, I'm just trying to figure this out. He said he's not going to play this year under the current contract because he signed one last year, and they said they would extend him this year, or they would talk about it. Also, at this time last year, they didn't think they would be signing T. Higgins long term either. So, can't make everybody happy at camp. So, is he going to be at OTAs, you think?
So, I will tell you that there was a rumor that a deal was done and in place with Trey Hendrickson. I don't know what the details were, but there was about to be pen to paper with a deal. So what happened after was another player, Daniel Hunter, got re-signed with a newer contract. That made Trey Hendrickson and his agent take a step back from the Bengals and like, whoa, he just signed for this. You're offering me this. I want more. So the Bengals and Trey, they had a deal in place. He was ready to sign, and then he changed the deals of that contract. He's like, no, I need to get a little bit more money. So I do agree. He should be paid more than $16 million this year. They should have signed him last year. The Bengals are being the Bengals. They should have signed Trey, got him locked in for another 3-4 years. Maybe it was going to be 25 to 28 million. Great. They should have signed Jamar Chase last year. He probably would have been 35 to 38 million. Now he's 40 million. Same thing with T. Higgins. You could have signed him for probably about 22. Now he's 25 to 27. The Bengals should have signed these players last year, but they were too fucking stupid and wanted to wait, and it cost them money.
But at the same time, sometimes it's good to wait because let's reverse. They jumped on the bandwagon of signing Money Mac McPherson They signed him real quick, and the dude has plummeted.
Yeah, but that's a kicker, and we can always cut. His money is not guaranteed.
But I'm just saying, there are players, plenty of players that don't show what they can actually do. They get it, and then they get their money, and then all of a sudden they just drop off. Now,
I'm sure if he calls Justin Tucker up, he'll do a lot better this year.
Yeah. Hey, just go fucking get some yanks on that thing.
hey Justin,
That's some
how
good.
did you get rid of your
I'm
leg
doing.
tension? Oh, I went to the massage therapist and got a little rub a tug.
Mm,
Don't tell my wife though.
Yeah, but to go back to like you said about the Bengals not signing people, the Bengals are going to be the Bengals. But also, you got to look at Trey. He's going to be 30. T is what, 27, 28? Chase, 26. These are their second big contracts. That's it. This is Trey Henderson's third contract. He signed the extension for $18.5 million.
Right.
We didn't force it upon him. He put pen to paper, play your contract out. Then you know what? Next year, if we don't sign you, we don't sign you.
well, the problem is the Bengals last year told him, "Hey, we'll take care of you next year." As an organization, they told you that.
Yeah, but like I said, did they plan on signing T. Higgins long term? Did T. Higgins plan on firing his agent and going with Chase's agent? So now chasing T. Higgins, you got to make happy over one defensive player, two receivers, and your quarterback is basically your mob boss. You got to make him happy.
Burrow flat out came out and said he wants Trey on the team. So if you want to make your quarterback happy,
well, yeah, he's gonna say everybody. He wants everybody on the team.
Yeah,
Ron and Danny would tell Burrow to take a pay cut.
Well, they could, and he even said that. He's like, they come to me and they said, "Hey, we need some money. Can you restructure your contract?" That's exactly what Pat Mahomes keeps doing. He keeps restructuring his contract and getting huge signing.
And I think Joe Burrow will. I think the problem is Hendrickson has too big of an ego right now. He likes our city, loves our city, but this is a year where all the defense ends got a big boost in signing bonus. He wants that guaranteed money for his family, So is he going to produce in his 30s? I think he will, but he doesn't do anything else what a Myles Garrett doesn't do for a team. He's just a sack specialist. Damn good sack specialist, but is he a great tackler? He puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but does he do the other intangibles defense ends play?
Right.
He was their best defensive player last year by far.
Yeah, but
that's not because if you rub a turd, it's still a turd. I'm just saying the defense sucked.
You got to look at this too. You could say this, for instance. You could say the last 2 years, 17.5 sacks, but we didn't make the playoffs. You also could say Joe Burrow, what should have been MVP this year, but we still didn't make the playoffs. Yep. So there's a yin and a yang to it, but you got to see what this new defensive coordinator can do. You got to bring him in. If he could help train our first-round draft pick, there might be incentives on the backside of that, Joe be like, hey, you know what? Let's restructure and sign this guy long term. Let's get it done. Joe's already happy with what he got on offense. He knows they're going to be throwing the ball everywhere this year and running that ball.
So, but here's what I find very, very ironic with this whole situation between the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson's basically calling the Bengals out for not being transparent and whatnot, and not doing what they have said they were going to do. Now, let's get up to the ironic part, is the Bengals are doing the exact same thing to Hamilton County in the city of Cincinnati. They are going up to the Hamilton County and saying, hey, you just fired the attorney that was working on those deals. Now, we don't know if we want to sign this new extension with the city and the county for the stadium because you're doing what you are, what was not agreed upon. So I find it very ironic. The Bengals are accused of that, and now the Bengals are accusing Hamilton County and the city of doing the same thing that the Bengals have continually done to players over how many years?
That's the Bengals for you, man. Bengals are known for that. They still come to the city. What we did for Trey, is we gave him money, guaranteed money, and he produced with his sacks every year. But again, does he do the other intangibles as a defense
But
player?
as a Hamilton County resident, I have done the same thing. I've continually put my money goes to pay for that stadium. The Bengals have been very, very cheap with everything they've done with that stadium. It took them how many years to finally get the circle for their Hall of Fame, right? They haven't done anything fan friendly for the fans of Cincinnati until just recently. So why should I continue to pay money to the Bengals to upgrade a stadium that's almost 30 years old?
It's time to move on from that stadium. I'll give you that. Put a dome over it at least.
But why should the Bengals have not consistently put a winning team on the field for years and years? They've always been cheap, very, very cheap, and it's very evident of that. They haven't been very fan friendly. Their food has been ranked last in the last 4 or 5 years in all of NFL stadiums for players. So they continually are known to be a very cheap organization. So why as a resident should I continue to pay for upgrades to that stadium for a team that doesn't put back into the city and the fans?
Well,
I get
perfect example.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say perfect example of cheapness. You know, we're all season ticket holders. Do you just love when you get the email that says, "Hey, we'd like to invite you to the draft party," and it's only going to cost you X number of dollars per ticket?
Oh no! Oh, I got the email, and then when I went to it, I couldn't get the tickets.
So it costs money
because
to buy the tickets.
No, it was free. It was a free thing, but when you went there, you had to pay for drinks and all that stuff. Which
Not the ones I clicked on.
Yeah, by the time I got to it, they're like, "Oh, we don't have any more tickets. Sorry."
Yeah, because like Joe says, man, we've been season ticket holders the last couple of years, and so we can't contradict ourselves in that situation. But I get what you're saying through the Hamilton County situation. But you know what? We're sports fanatics. That's what we like.
But it's time for the Bengals to pony up and put some money into their own goddamn stadium.
Well, be careful what you say. They might sell the team. None other teams, wherever they go, they might pony up.
Well, I mean,
I'm sorry. Cincinnati would get another football team. If the Bengals left today, we would get another franchise here.
I mean, to be honest with you,
and if that's the case, new owner, a lot better.
I say, I mean, not that they're doing anything great in that city, but I mean, I'd almost say do the same damn thing that Cleveland did. Okay, Ravens left, the Browns left, became the Baltimore Ravens. Cleveland decided to make their own team, city owned. You know, and
oh no, they still have an owner. They got Jimmy Hassan.
Well, but
as the owner.
But
he's willing to spend money. He's willing to make the Browns better. He's willing to put his own money for a new stadium.
And Cleveland, what they need to do is probably find a new area, put the stadium. Maybe not downtown Cincinnati. Maybe it's a district stadium, a district area. You know, to promote more money, revenue.
Well, I think that's kind of what the Bengals have been kind of wanting to do. If they can't get a dome on the stadium, they're going to want a brand new stadium. From what I was listening to and hearing was, if they put a dome on that stadium, it would cost anywhere from $1.6 to $1.8 billion.
Well,
you know how much a new stadium costs? A brand new, up to date, fully about $3 billion. So why not just invest in a brand new stadium at that point?
Well, and here's the thing, though. They should have fucking put a dome on it when they built this one. Like, who in their right fucking mind? I mean, whoever designed it was like, I've never been to Cincinnati. It's always sunny. Let's fucking do it this way.
No, but I mean, I like having the weather play a factor. Buffalo, they're not putting a dome on their stadium.
But here's the thing. Cincinnati is never going to get any big time games or anything like that, like Super Bowl or anything like that, without a dome.
No.
It's true. If we had something like Indianapolis had, that'd be nice. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
I mean,
And yet-
NCAA basketball's there. We don't do any NCAA basketball here no more. I mean, you would get rid of. You would do. Bams would be coming here more often.
Well, that's on Heritage Bank because they had the rights to play the first four at Heritage Bank or the first round of the tournament, but they had to upgrade the arena, and the ownership did not follow through with it, so they lost that. So
Well,
we
I'm
need
just saying,
a brand new arena.
Yeah, if you updated Bengal Stadium, you could have intangibles like that. You know.
Correct.
Which then you
So
get more money,
I'm
more
all
revenue.
for the Bengal Stadium moving and maybe up to unfortunately like a Westchester area because they have the space. They have Butler County residents can pay for the stadium at that point.
I don't know. There's part of me like I get, and I 100% agree. It needs to, they need a new stadium. They need, the Bengals need to shell out some of the money, like more than they have, because I mean, Brown is making all this fucking money off of us, and he barely has to pay anything, which fucking pisses me off. Which, I mean, again, season ticket holder, but at the same time, I fucking hate that dude.
We're not there to support the owner. We're there to support.
But unfortunately, where do you think my money goes?
I know.
That's the thing. And I mean, people are like, "Well, if you hate it so bad, why do you go?" Because it's still my team. Like, I'm not going to give up. I still love my Bengals. I mean, I already gave up on one team because they obviously care more about money than they do their fans, and that's why I don't own season tickets to the Reds anymore. Like, so.
I mean, I disagree. I think the Reds have done a fantastic job of making it more fan friendly. Now, as far as putting a consistent winner on the field, they haven't done that, but they have made it more fan friendly.
Made it more fan friendly until there's another All-Star game, and then they go, "Hey, we're going to allow you to buy tickets based on your seniority." But then they let somebody buy a ticket that's like $10 more than you, and they get to buy the tickets before you.
Hey, just because my mom and brother did that.
And I have nothing against your mom and your brother. I just fucking hate the Reds. Like, for that bullshit. Like, nothing to do with loyalty. It's all about that extra $10. So.
And more games. They did a 40 game, we only did a 20.
I don't give a shit. I spent for years versus 1 year. So. But I digress. Yeah. So, all right, gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean the Bengals have that lease is up next year with Paycor Stadium, so they have until June 30th to sign an agreement, a 2-year extension. They can always sign it and nothing happens, or at the end of next year they could just pick up their ball and leave.
And, I would be, if they move to a different stadium, like, I'd be excited. I also would be a little heartbroken because, let's be honest, when we think about Cincinnati Bengals football, we think Riverfront. So that's where it becomes difficult. Like, I can't imagine a Bengals stadium not on the Riverfront, but it's going to have to because, there's no good spots down there.
We just bought all that land, but that's for extra parking now too.
Yep.
Do you really think the Bengals are going to move? Let's be honest. You got Joe Burrow in a big contract and Chase in a big contract. Where are you going to play at your local high school or college fields?
No, I'm talking. They would move out of the city. If you don't think if St. Louis came to Mike Brown and said, "Hey, I'll build you a brand new stadium, state-of-the-art stadium."
But how long is that stadium going to take? So they're probably going to sign their 2-year lease. They're probably re-sign this 2-year lease, but they might be currently building in another city.
they also already have a stadium there that they could play in until the new stadium gets built. So there's options.
Look,
There was another thing I did hear that maybe the Bengals and Bears come together. The Bengals get moved to Chicago, and that that new Arlington Park stadium that they're trying to build, they would do it there.
You sound as stupid as you look, Josh, on that.
Just
pretty damn
saying.
stupid.
No, I did hear that is a possible rumor, so I thought that was pretty funny.
I heard that Taylor Swift is opening a new stadium and it's called the Tampon.
Is she still with Travis Kelce?
Huh?
I haven't heard of her and Travis since the season's been like a. Are they still together? Or they break
Does it
up?
honestly really matter anymore?
I mean, we got 3 more months, and that's all we're going to hear about. So,
Yeah. As long as I don't have to hear about them, who cares?
I mean, now that Kansas City's in like every primetime game for the first month of the season, you're going to hear about it a shit ton.
See how many times they cheat to win again.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'd love to see the tax returns for those refs and see how many were paid. There's fucking calls, like bastards.
Yeah, but the whole Trey Henderson thing, I think at the end of the day, they're going to work it out. He'll play this year.
I
Well,
guarantee he's
let's
gonna
be honest. This ain't the first time that there's been mini camp and starting, camp drama. But I agree with Matt. Like, they're going to find a way to sign and come to a deal. Will he miss the optional camp? Maybe. But the Bengals also have the option that once he gets into the mandatory, that they can start fining him. And
yeah, but I think if you start finding him, it's gonna end up backfiring on you.
I mean,
I think he'll get fined, but then they'll give him that money back as soon as he starts day one. I don't see him sitting out game one. He'll be 31 at the end of this year. You're not going to sit out and miss $16.5 million, dude. I know you're not.
I mean,
actually,
I hate to say T. Higgins did. T. Higgins missed the first 2 games of the season. I don't think it was a hamstring. I think he purposely sat out to make a statement to the Bengals.
T. Higgins ain't 31.
I know.
Yeah, he's
but what he's saying is Trey Henderson still can play and show up, but he's like, oh, my back hurts.
Exactly. That's all he has to do. Show up, my hamstring hurts. And then you
still get his money and not play.
Yep.
See, what he wants clarity for money guarantee for the future of his life, because if he gets a gruesome injury this year, like an AJ Green, non-contact injury, and you go down to the shitter, you're done.
Right.
And see, that's what the Bengals don't want. Okay, now, if you don't get hurt, will you give some of that money back? Then we could fall back on the same thing. What happens if he had 4.5 sacks last year? Is he going to give us money back off his new contract? No, he's going to play for his current contract and not bitch and complain.
Right.
But like I said, there's a yin and a yang to everything. The Bengals suck. We know that as far as the ownerships. But as far as the fan base, we know we're awesome. We're there. But as far as this business side, you signed a contract, man. Sorry. Stop being a diva wide receiver. You know? What happened is,
now.
No, what happened is all the defensive ends, again, got paid and guaranteed money. It started off with Garrett up in Cleveland. I don't want to play for them. Here, I'll give you guaranteed money. Here's $40 million. Okay, now I want to play for you. Like, come on. Yeah. It's like you went back on your word, and then it's like next thing you know, Vegas is getting new ownership with Tom Brady, and they signed their defensive end to a big contract. Danielle Hunter, $35 million guaranteed this year. So,
well, I can honestly say, like, my new term for players that bitch about money when they shouldn't, or contracts when they shouldn't, I'm calling them the Angel Reese.
Well, no, I mean, honestly, I think it stemmed from the NBA. The players started to run the asylum, and then it trickled down to baseball and the NFL.
So stop being an Angel Reese. Play your contract, like Matt said.
You know, the funny thing is, he should be mad at his agent instead of himself. Or the Bengals.
That's just
They signed that contract in good faith, and his agent didn't have his back on it, it sounded like, and there's no communication. Well, guess what? Stop being a diva and talking about it everywhere. I mean, shit, I don't know last time that the Bengals have been on ESPN to start the first story off every damn day for a whole week. Trey Anderson this and Trey Anderson that,
right.
Too much complaining. But hey, we should be fine.
We shall see, right?
We shall see. I think Josh is frozen. There he is.
There it is.
That's that Alta fiber.
No, I connected to my VPN. I think it switched over. That's why.
No.
I gotta actually go to work now after this.
You gotta go to work after this.
Yeah, I gotta log in and do some work before I go to bed. So I don't have to do it first thing in the morning. It's easier for me to work an extra hour on a Sunday night and then have to wake up first thing Monday morning and just be behind. So
You're not going to use your shake weights?
oh, there you go.
All right, guys, we got a productive more. Oh.
Let's get our Justin Tucker on.
Yeah, buddy.
Justin Tucker.
Hey, boys, I'm going to sign off here.
Yep. All right. Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all next week.
Hey, this bud's not for you two,
Whatever.
but these are. Oh!
Adios, fucker.
It's idiocracy, but you gon' see the value and respect though when you talk with me. So come on, baby, walk with me. It ain't a topic that the crew can't touch. Share our views and our vibe. What we hide, it ain't much. This ain't bluffs, this the crew, yeah, we got it. Share our thoughts and our views, you can't stop it. Said this ain't bluffs, this the crew, yeah, we got it. Idiocracy, tell us what's the topic. Yeah.